Protein bars. So, I was recently sick and I yet had to complete my protein requirement. So, I decided to try out a bunch of protein bars available in the Indian market. Generally, I am not a big fan of protein bars because most of them are substandard and do not meet the quality of protein requirement that I seek. I'm sick. I'm feeling sick of eating. I have a bad throat infection, so everything going down the throat hurts. So let me try something that's tasty for a change. So I tried out three brands. There was Max Protein, there was Super U, and there was Avolt. Right, and then I did what I do out of habit: is go through the labels. Right. So Max Protein, this one gives me about 10 grams of protein, is what it claims. All right, but of this 10 grams of protein, all right, the protein source is a protein blend, which is comes out of soy nuggets, whey protein concentrate, calcium caseinate, and soy concentrate. So not an ideal blend, especially the usage of soy, not a big fan. So of the 10 grams they claim, I guess only about 6 will be bioavailable to humans. So for 6 grams of protein, what is the cost I pay? This is 80 rupees. So 80 rupees for about 6 grams of protein and I think 20 grams of carbs, if I'm not mistaken. 13 grams of carbs, right? So decent carb content, not a problem. But for 6 grams of protein, 80 bucks, expensive shit. I don't think it's worth it. Then came Super U. Lots of hype behind this brand because of its celebrity endorsement and shit. But generally, when something is endorsed by a celebrity, it's usually shit. But I still took a chance and went through the label. So it claims 10 grams of protein, right? And the protein source is protein blend, which comes from fermented nutritional yeast protein. All right. So again, not whey protein, so not very high in biological value. And still, for 10 grams of protein, I think about 8 would be bioavailable to humans, but it has 20 grams of carbs, right? 20 grams of carbs for about 8 grams of protein. Not ideal, better than a regular chocolate, but not ideal, right? For 60 bucks. So again, max protein was what? Max protein was 80 bucks, this is 60 bucks. 6 gram protein, 8 gram protein. It sort of falls in the same price range. If you ask, it's just a little bit here and there, no big difference. Not great protein, and just for the taste, instead of chocolate, you can have it. And then came Avolt. It's a new protein bar in the market. I had seen it in Expo before. I liked it back then, but this time when I had it, it had a very strong sweetener aftertaste. So then I again went through the label, right? This claims 15 grams of protein, right? Now 15 grams of protein that comes from what source? Where they have made the label so tiny. So now this one is from a protein blend of whey protein concentrate, whey protein isolate, and whey protein hydrolysate. Excellent. So of this 15 grams, all 15 grams would be pure protein and would be bioavailable to humans. But the cost, like any other international brand that I usually consume, like Quest or a 40FX, is pretty much the same. This is 165 bucks for 15 grams of protein, right? And along with that, it packs carbohydrates of 21 grams, right? So Avolt is at par with the international brands I anyways consume when I have to, which is Quest or 40FX, which are premium in their protein quality. Okay, that is the number one factor. These two here are chocolates. You can have them instead of chocolate. If you want a protein bar, this would be the nearest solution I have recently found in the Indian market. All right, it is still not at par with Quest or 40FX, which are lower in their carb. What can I say? Lower in their carbs and higher in their proteins, and obviously very good taste, a lower aftertaste of the sweetener. But yeah, 160 bucks for 15 grams protein is steep. If you are craving a taste, if protein is not absolutely your primary requirement, this is a better bet than these chocolates are for fun. You can have them instead of a chocolate and still get like 5, 6, 8 grams of protein in a shot. But this one sort of is value for the money if protein is your concern. All right. Let me know if you have tried out any good protein bars in the market. I would love to try them out. All right, especially when sick and still cutting weight or still preparing for a competition and you cannot sacrifice your protein intake. You have to figure out tastier ways to consume protein, and that is only where protein bars come in. Even when I give it to my clients, it's as a replacement for dessert. It is not as a protein source. So remember, your protein bars are desserts. They are not your primary supplements. They are not your primary food. All right, treat it like a treat and you will be good. Treat these chocolates as a protein replacement, and you are being an idiot. All right, this is Pushkaraj Shirke for Project Battlefit, and I hope this helped. Cheers.